What are your thoughts on that, on the Adele residency? Do you think it had to do with COVID? Do you think it had to do with some of the technical things that she wanted for the show? Like, and what goes into putting together a residency of that magnitude that maybe people don't understand?
Well, I think all three of those things are relevant points, valid points. Putting on a show, even my little show, it takes a lot of, and I mean, and also I've been lucky because I've been doing mine for, 36 years. So I've been we've kind of got it down. We know what we're doing. We have production, we have lights and smoke and fog and thing. But it is a lot of work to put on a production, especially one of that magnitude and of her name and the room and the thing. And there's a lot of pressure, I'm sure, putting it on a nice show. I don't know. They haven't given anybody any answers. They're kind of vague about it. They kind of said there was something with COVID. And then she came out with a statement and said she wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to do it. So that's the joke in my show. I make fun of that. When we show the clip and she says, I'm sorry, she wasn't ready. And I said, ready? Who the hell's ready? I haven't been ready in 36 years. We do this every night, not ready. There's no such thing as being
exactly ready. Like, I wasn't ready today to talk to you, like,
right.
We're ready.
I mean, life's about. Don't book a show, bitch. Get out on a show.
First of all, so you were born Scott Thompson. How did you get the name Carrot Top? Who gave you the name?
Unfortunately, I had something to do with that. I should not have. It's a blessing and a curse. Why I did it, I don't know. Well, I thought the name Scott Thompson was kind of boring. I mean, not kind of. It is. And being a stage performer, I always thought it'd have something fun. Please like Scott Thompson. It's like, ugh. So I think, Queen Latifah was taken. So I thought, gosh, I need something. I need something better. So I thought, people always, would say, hey, Carrot Top. And I just kind of thought that might be a good moniker for a stage and for my look. And I kind of just went with it. And then, went to the stage one night and I said, bring me up as Carrot Top. And they were like, Carrot Top? And I go, yeah, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. And then that was it. It was like I was Carrot Top forever.
And when was that?
84.
84. And by the way, you went to Florida Atlantic University in Boca. I'm in that area right now.
So are you funny. Really?
Yeah.
Where about are you?
I'm in Delray.
Oh, I know exactly. Yeah, Delray Beach. Beautiful. Beautiful down there. That whole town is beautiful down there. It's really grown.
Yeah, it really is a lot more culture than there used to be, for sure. So tell me, what are the 3 pivotal events in your life that shaped the human being you are today?
3 pivotal things that have shaped me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think one, having become a comic, I think one would be, a lot of luck in a sense, and a lot of I was a kid when I wanted to do comedy, and I never knew there was such a way to get. How do you become a comedian? Like, there's no comedy schools. There's no, like clown school maybe or something, but there was no stand-up comedy school. So I really honestly would stand in the mirror and just pretend and tell jokes. And then I had this idea, because I kept listening to this comedy club that was down in West Palm Beach. Mm-hmm. Every day they had a radio thing, the comedy corner on 2000, South Dixie Highway, West Palm Beach. Come on and see, come to our open mic nights. And so I went down there one night and watched, and got the urge the next following week to maybe get involved and do it. So I went and got down and got myself what I thought was an act, and I showed up. The woman was like, you were so funny, but the stuff you're doing is like, it was all about the college. Everyone that comes to this club is not going to be in college. They're going to be, have jobs, and there might be 40-year-olds, and there might be 60-year-olds, and there might be 17-year-olds. It's going to be a whole collection of different age groups and occupations. And so your stuff has to be a little bit more general. So I went back to the drawing board and I started coming up with all these, that's where the props kind of came into play. I started thinking of generalized props, and that kind of got me into doing what I do. That's a pivotal thing as far as trying to find that personality, who I was going to be on stage.
Okay. Anything else? Any other aspects of things that happened in your life?
I came from an interesting life. My dad worked at the Space Center. I wasn't a family of entertainment-driven people. In fact, I'm definitely the oddball black sheep of the family. My brother went to the Air Force Academy, became an F-16 fighter jet pilot, and my brother or dad worked at NASA and built, spaceships and trained astronauts. and I'm gluing, kickstands onto cowboy boots. It just didn't make any sense. But
well, what was that conversation like when you told your dad, like, listen, I'm not following in your footsteps. I'm going to go into comedy.
yeah, it was a very awkward conversation. I'm sure everyone's had at one point with their parents because it was so different. It wasn't like, hey, I'm going to go into some part of engineering. It was, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian. He had no idea what the heck they even meant. Right. He's like, I had gone off to college and I bought this little truck. And my dad says, how'd you pay for that truck? And I said, well, I've been in school. I've been, doing these odd jobs. He said, well, that's good. I had like two jobs. I was delivering bread. I was a courier driving across the country, dropping off credit reports at banks. And that's when I listened to the radio every day. And listen to that comedy thing every day. I would listen to it. And then I had just enough money. They had these open mic nights that I would get involved in. And you'd win like the top prize was like $20. Or believe it or not, like a kazoo or something like that. I must have won like 30 of these. And so I'd go places and go, can I sell this kazoo? I need gas money. So I went home one time and my dad said, how are things going? I said, I'm paying for my truck. I don't have a lot of extra gas, but I've got a little bit of extra gas because I've been doing these stand-up comedy things. I get paid $20 every time I win. So it's like $20 a week that I usually can count on because I usually win this event. And he was like, wait, stop. Comedy, stand-up comedy. What are you doing? Are you set up a comedy show? I said, no, I'm in the show. I'm actually the comic. And he says, you're not funny. I said, I know, it's the weirdest thing. But I did it for a whole half semester. And then, you'd win $20. And then they kind of give you steak dinner. I said, I don't want a steak dinner. I want the $20. So it would just string along all these events. And finally you would get like an actual show where you do your own show for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it is. And then it evolved into, it kind of just slowly evolved into everything,
Was it like, what are we doing? We're paying for you to go to school. Like, what were you majoring in?
Marketing. And, the funny part is they weren't paying. I was paying every dime. They didn't really have a say, they really didn't have a say in it because I had all my jobs and I was just making my own path. And it's not that they weren't for it. It wasn't that they were against it or a negative to it. They just didn't understand it. They're like, explain to me more. And so one semester, my dad said, I'm coming down to see you. And I said, great. You know what? I think I have a show booked. You can come see what I do. So he came and he was just blown away. He was like, I have no idea what the heck. When did you do this? When did you come up with this? And so that was kind of a cool moment when he actually.
That is cool.
Yeah, I came and saw what I did. And he was like, I had no idea. Like, what part of you did I miss?
Are you an introvert in real life, or is it like what you see on stage is what you get?
No, I'm very shy. Believe it or not, I'm very shy. People every day always say, you're always so quiet spoken and shy. And then you go on stage and you're kind of crazy. I'm very introverted in that way. I'm very private, but I'm not that kind of a weird introvert. I'm not like, oh God, he's in a corner by himself. But I usually go out to lunch by myself and I converse with people there. And I know, everyone at the bar. So when I walk in, it's not like I'm this lonely guy sitting there like, hey, Scott, how you doing? Sometimes people join me. So, they don't. But I'm definitely a loner. And when I come home after the show, I'm a loner. I just watch TV by myself and I kind of write jokes and think of jokes and come up with ideas. And then I go to the show and I do the show and then I come back home. It's Groundhog Day.
What is it about Vegas? Because you've been at the Luxor now for 15 years?
16. Yeah.
16, and you're going another few years.
Yeah.
Right? To 2025. Like, what is it about Vegas that's kind of become your comedy home? Like, what do you love about it?
It came around by accident, believe it or not. I used to do a couple weeks at a time at the MGM Grand 17 years ago. It was called almost like a mini residence. I'd go 2 weeks and then I'd go on the road and do shows and then come back and do a couple weeks and then go back on the road. And the Luxor Hotel had a room opening. I guess it was a showroom that was opening and they had brought to my attention, David Copperfield kind of wanted to take over the room, make me disappear. And and so I was thinking, well, I guess I'll go to back on the road. And then my manager says, well, there's a room open at the Luxor right across the street. And I said, okay, we went and walked over one night and walked through it, looked at it. I liked it. And they said, so what do you think? And I said, yeah, so 2 weeks, the same gig. And they said, no, this will be full time. Like you'll be here every night. And I was like, ooh, I don't know about that. I wasn't ready to be a resident headliner. So I was reluctant. I said, let's do a year and just see how it goes. And it was horrible for that first year. I was living in the hotel, and I was not, I don't know, just not a good time. Things weren't working. Shows were tough, and I was losing my mind. I was like, I got to get out of this gig, you know? And then one day, what's like really weird, one day I started having fun, started to click. And I thought, you know what, this is kind of cool because I'm not traveling. I'm not wear and tear on me. I'm not having to move all this stuff. I have a lot of stuff for the show. Mm-hmm. And they said, you want to do another 2 years? And I said, sure. So we signed up for like 2 more years. So there was a 3-year deal. At that point, then we really got into a groove. It was like, it wouldn't make any sense for me not to be in Vegas. And then it was time to sign up again. I said, you know, let's do a 5-year deal. And we just kept doing 10 years, and every 5 years, each time just doing 5 years. So it's now been 16 years and counting. So what's great about Vegas is kind of what I said there. One, you don't have to travel so much. You're in one place. People come to you as opposed to you go to them. I've gotten used to the room. I've gotten used to being able to kind of play more. And like last night, we did this whole brand new bit about Adele. I could go up at stage and knock it out and not have to be on the road traveling with it. And I get to come home at night and hang out with my dog, and I'm in bed by 11 o'clock watching TV. So.
What are your thoughts on that, on the Adele residency? Do you think it had to do with COVID? Do you think it had to do with some of the technical things that she wanted for the show? And what goes into putting together a residency of that magnitude that maybe people don't understand?
Well, I think all three of those things are relevant points, valid points. Putting on a show, even my little show, it takes a lot of, and I've been lucky because I've been doing mine for, 36 years. So we've kind of got it down, and we know what we're doing. We have production, we have lights and smoke and fog and thing. But it is a lot of work to put on a production, especially one of that magnitude and of her name and the room and the thing. And there's a lot of pressure, I'm sure, putting it on a nice show. I don't know. They haven't given anybody any answers. They're kind of vague about it. They kind of said there was something with COVID. And then she came out with a statement and said she wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to do it. So that's the joke in my show. I make fun of that. When we show the clip and she says, I'm sorry, she wasn't ready. And I said, ready? Who the hell's ready? I haven't been ready in 36 years. We do this every night, not ready. There's no such thing as being
exactly ready. Like I wasn't ready today to talk to you, right.
Who's
ready.
I mean, life's about. Don't book a show, bitch. Get out on a show. And so that's what I do on the show, and it kills. And then I do 3 songs, Adele songs that aren't Adele songs. They're Lionel Richie, Hello, and then there's 3 songs. It's kind of funny, but that's my take on it.
Yeah.
But if there was COVID related, you probably should stick to that. I think we had half of our crew has COVID. We couldn't rehearse. So we weren't ready in that regard. That would have been better than saying, I wasn't ready. Because I'm surprised her people were like, don't say they're not ready. Don't say they're not. So.
Yeah, seriously. But you make a good point, though. Like in life, you're never going to be 100% ready for anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're not going to be ready to have.
Look at my hair. My hair's not ready.
Yeah. You're not ready. I wasn't going to say anything.
Not even close.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of what life is about, right? You just have to roll with it.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I would agree. Are you one of those people who is going to eventually retire and have a retirement, or are you going to die on stage?
I might die during this interview.
Please don't.
Yeah, be good for you. I haven't figured it out. I never think about that, honestly. Mm-hmm. The older I get, the better I feel like I feel. And the older I get, especially, the more I feel that I know what I'm doing now, like with the show. I've never been in a more comfort zone on stage than I've ever been in my career. I used to get very nervous and just overly nervous about the whole show, and just worried about if one joke didn't get a laugh or one thing didn't go right, I would lose my mind. I thought it'd be a horrible show. And now it's just loose. It's free. It's taken years to get to that, but that's where I'm at now. And I don't ever foresee not doing this. I can't imagine what I would do. So I don't understand what we retire from what. And I think most people, when they do retire, it's kind of, they're over. I've never known anyone that's retired that have gone on and do something just amazing. They just kind of get old and they kind of retire, and they just kind of get boring and they just disappear.
That's kind of what I've been thinking about. I'm like, the concept of retirement started with the Industrial Revolution, where you'd put in like your 40 years to get job security, and then you were able to actually go live your life. But if you're doing your life's work, then it's fluid, right?
True. I kind of felt that way during the COVID when it first happened, that 1 year off that most people did. I was starting to mid-year kind of start losing my mind. Like, it was fun I lived in Florida. I live in Florida, but I'm not in Vegas. You know, I'm on my boat and we're barbecuing and it's fun. And then a month later, I'm like, what's tomorrow? Oh, more boating and more barbecue. Like, I needed to go get my, be funny. I could still crack up my friends on the boat, but I was missing an element of, being on stage and going to the show. And I probably felt that with like musicians, with playing music in front of an audience and having that thing that you don't get to do. And so, people say you lose your sense of taste and smell. And I said, I'm losing my sense of reason when I don't know what to do. And I wasn't motivated to write jokes because I didn't have anywhere to try them. I think I even wrote one joke the whole year. I didn't sit down and if I thought, that'd be funny for the show if I ever go back. So I never really was creative. I just lost my creativity and I just kind of put on my bathing suit and went on the boat.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, I can see that. You kind of strike me as like a Peter Pan kind of a guy. I might be wrong, but you strike me as somebody who's sort of like kind of lives life as if you're like forever 30 or something like that. I mean, do you feel like that? Or do you you do kind of feel like that?
I very much need to grow up. My friends would tell me that. But I'm lucky in that regard, though, because I am a child. I consider myself a young child. I mean, what I do for a living is one thing, but I like being youthful. I like hanging out with young people. But I have a lot of structure in my life. I mean, I'm very structured. I'm, a lot of entertainers and see comics and all that. People think they're reckless and they're this and they're that, or like rock stars. I'm very regimented. I never go out. I think I've been to a club or a party in 20 years, but I go and I work and then I come home. And then after this, I'll go take my dog to lunch and then I'll go to the gym and then I'll go to the show. It'll be the same process.
Do you ever want to get married or have kids?
I don't think so. I'm pretty, no.
Okay. So you're good just staying in this flow. All right.
Yeah. And it's hard enough just taking care of me. I can't imagine taking care of a wife and kids. I'm enough, I'm enough.
You're more than enough.
I'm more than enough. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take care of.
I want to talk to you about Bob Saget. I know that you've commented on it before, but he said such beautiful things about you and about your show. And I want to know, I don't know how well you knew him. I mean, did you just know him in passing? Were you friends?
I knew him in a very, very small capacity, which was wild that he was so friendly to me. I knew he was a nice man. I know that he knows a lot of my friends more than I actually personally know Bob. But every time my friends would bring my name up to them, they would always say, Bob loves you. I mean, just so you know, it's kind of a thing with comics. There's a lot of comics that like you, or some comics don't like other comics, or whether it's a jealous thing or whether they just don't think they're funny, whatever it happens to be. Mm-hmm. Bob was always one of those guys that really loved and respected me. And I knew this again through second, third parties. I don't think I one time said, we actually spoke at an event one time, and he said, "Oh man, you were funny." And I said, "Oh, you're funny." And he said, "No, really, that's you. You're great." But we didn't know each other that well. And then when he passed, and I got all these people sending me clips of him, with his nice words about me, his adulation stuff towards me. It was very sweet, and I loved about everything I read about Bob, his passing. Everything I've read, it was what a good guy he was. Mm-hmm. And I just think that's so beautiful. That's probably why he was so nice to me. I think, I hope when I die, what people say about me, they say, my Scott, God, he was such a nice guy. And that's all the reason you get into this business is, like, it's weird, but when I think back to the very first time I wanted to be a comedian, I wanted people to like me. I wanted people to laugh and say, wow, you're fun to hang out. You're funny. And the comics would be like camaraderie, it's like we're all comics, we're in the same group, we're all trying to make people laugh and heal. And so that's why I got into it. So I've always been shocked, and it's odd that when people that are in the show business, whatever it is, I'm just in a little teeny bit of it, but
Right.
like show business in general, they should be overly happy and nice to people. They've been successful in a job that's so hard to get successful in. And
Absolutely.
have people love them. I mean, geez, we walk around town and people are like, "You're a job, they love you." How could you possibly like not be friendly to them
Right.
and be loving? So that's one thing I appreciated about when he got a lot of love from a lot of people, and I think that's because he was a nice guy.
Do you think there's a spiritual aspect? You mentioned about healing. Do you think there's a spiritual aspect to what you do in that regard, in terms of healing people or affecting them in
Absolutely,
that way?
absolutely. First of all, I'm very spiritual, and I think that there's no way there can't be a correlation between smiling, laughing, and healing. So that's why they send clowns into children's hospitals and stuff. There's dogs, and they bring in things to make the kids that are sick smile, and that's why they do that, because that is the big healing moment. These kids are laughing, and they're not thinking about their cancer.
Mhm.
So I have had thousands of times and letters in my career that would shock you, handwritten letters from families, from people from all ages that have written me letters that say, "You have no idea how much you helped me. My father lived through his last days. We watched your movie. He was so depressed. His last trip, he wanted to go see you in Vegas, and he was sick, and they got him on a plane, and they came, and you did the thing, and the thing you did, you remember that?" And I go, "Yeah, he was at that show." And yeah, and it's almost a little bit of a weight on your back. You got this kind of, on you. Like, you got to keep that in mind. You go, like, almost every time you go on stage, you think inside there's someone out there that needs you, literally.
Very interesting. It's a lot of
I mean,
responsibility.
there's every night, no matter what, whether they're dying or not, there's one person somewhere, literally though, in that
Yeah.
audience that honestly needs me so bad tonight, that needs that release and needs to laugh and needs to forget about their pain. And that's why they're usually there. They want to release that bad energy or that bad vibe or that bad thing that's happening.
Mhm.
Dog might have died. Their aunt may be sick. I mean, there's so many things where comedy can make you forget about that. Good comedy, because then it can be my comedy and makes it feel worse.
No. Was there ever a time when people's criticism of your type of comedy got to you? And are you a self-critical person, or do you let yourself off the hook pretty
No,
easily?
mostly my whole career, it hurt my feelings. It wasn't until recently. So, like anybody else, I think it's human nature. You want everyone to love you. And it's kind of a cliche, you can't please everybody, and not everyone's going to love you, dude. Not everyone. There are going to be some people out there that are going to say, "Carrots up. No, not good. Not a fan." Everyone hears it in their own friends. So you talk about someone, hey, not a big fan. Like
Mhm.
the other day, I said the Rolling Stones show was unreal. And my friend said, really? You couldn't pay me to go to that. And I'm like, what? But it's just,
Yeah.
that's what it is. People have always from day one, when I got into this business, they always made fun of me for, I don't know. I think it was, just the red hair, the freckles, the name, the props, everything. It
Right.
might have just been a whole smorgasbord of didn't like me. A lot of it was comics that were just jealous because I'd gotten some success. I was on the Tonight Show. I was on Regis. I did a movie. So they were kind of like, what the, I don't get it.
Right. It
And
wasn't like Jerry Seinfeld's cerebral humor, or
right.
you weren't
Sure.
telling stories. Yeah.
Right. It was kind of like lowbrow comedy, and which is funny because when I make these props, they're actually kind of clever. And I've had challenges with comics before. You get a week to come up with a week to come up with some clever prop. It
Mhm.
can't be a pun. It's got to be some kind of clever invention. They've never done it. So it would hurt me. And then one day a bell just went off, and it could have been something someone said or something I just thought. But I finally was like, I don't, when I was a kid, consider the source. So When I go to school and I get picked on, I come home, I'm upset. My mom's like, what's wrong? And I said, they picked on me in school. And she said, who picked on you in school? And I said, Timmy. Well, isn't Timmy the one that's always picking on you? And he's the big heavy set kid, right? I said, yeah. Well, consider the source. He's picking on you because he's not happy with himself, and he's picking on you because you're skinny and he's not. And you have,
right.
I use that philosophy in the business world. I'd go to the clubs and all the comics that thought I was nice and loved my act and respected it. It was great. George Carlin came over and said he liked my act. Chris Rock came over. And I started thinking, wow, Jay Leno, Bill Maher, all the comics that have made it and are successful are fans of mine. I would see him out, see Gary Shandling, and he'd say, you're funny, you have some funny stuff. And then I'd go to the club and there'd be some guy, from Oklahoma doing 2 minutes on the best set that would sit there and talk behind my back. And I'm like, what? Bill Maher just said I was great. I started to kind of filter out the people that really didn't make a difference in my life. Especially in my comedy life, that they weren't going to be fans of mine. They weren't going to be fans of mine. I didn't care. I just, the most important thing is your fans. That's really what makes it. That's the most important, that people can't forget about their fans. I mean, they think, once you first get in, of course, you want people to laugh, but you want the camaraderie and you want the other comics to yeah. But then at the end of the day, you want to say, hey, I got fans out there. That's who comes to the show. So the most important part about this whole thing is fans. So you kind of start getting rid of people that are negative, because you don't need them. You look out in the audience and all these people love me. So
exactly.
I'm not performing to the people that don't love me.
Do you ever pray? And if so, who or what do you pray to?
I am a big prayer. I do. A lot of times I pray for general things like my family, my health, and my career. In Florida, I go on this run. And when I run, there's a big, huge church I run to. It's the halfway point, 5 miles. So I get to the 5 mile, or 2.5 mile mark. It's a beautiful big church. And I always just do a little prayer, and I pray for my goddaughter, my family, my health, my mom's health, my dog's health, and pretty much just kind of my friends and my family. And sometimes even greater things, like with COVID, I said, and can you make us all go back to normal life?
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes, specifically, my friend Louie Anderson just passed away, and Louie was just the opposite of Bob and I's relationship. Louie Anderson was probably like my brother.
Really?
We had a very, very close relationship, and it came very sudden, just about 4 days ago, and that was a rough one. No one told us, and then I went to the hospital and I was holding his hand, and last day he was there, and it was rough. That was a rough one.
Did you ever talk to him about his health, or about taking better care of his health?
Well, back in the day, it was kind of for him, it was always a joke. He was like, yeah, I'm heavy, And, you look at me, I weigh 140 pounds, and he's like, we can't be skinny like you. But he tried all the time to lose weight. I mean, I will say one thing. Every time we went out, he would always say, I'm a chicken. He would say he was going to go run or walk. He had bad knees, and he was always in bad health. But he was always aware of it, and he always tried to do. I mean, literally, I'd see him. He goes, "Damn, I was 10 pounds." Like, he wanted people to know it. But then cancer, couldn't figure out a way to beat the cancer.
Yeah. Sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
What's the greatest advice you've ever received?
It might not be one thing one person has told me that has made things. It's kind of me on this planet, kind of giving me my own advice. But I know to be a good soul. I know to be kind to people. I know to work hard. I know to not get in fights. I know to not start fights, not gossip people. I know, I know that don't steal jokes. I know everything, how life is supposed to be and how kind you are supposed to be. So that's why I never do a New Year's resolution, because I don't do anything that I would do different that I didn't do this year. So I never have what's your news? Oh, I'm going to start running. Well, I already run. Eat better. I already eat better. So, I'm going to stop using nouns. That's something like that. So the advice that when I broke it down kind of made sense was from Buddy Hackett. And I was in an airport, and I said, oh my God, it's Buddy Hackett, right? Like, wow. So I walked over to him and I said, Buddy, I'm a comic, and I just wanted to say, he's brilliant. When I was a young comic, he was on the Tonight Show all the time, and he was just, Buddy Hackett. He said, I'm going to give you some advice. And I said, okay, what's the advice? And he got a napkin out and he wrote it on a USA Today or whatever it was, napkin. And it said, the key to the treasure is the treasure. And he gave it to me.
Break that down for me.
The key to the treasure is the treasure. So I'm looking, I go, thanks. And I look at it like, thanks for nothing. And so I get on the plane. I'm staring at it for a good 5-10 minutes. Kind of break it down. What the hell is it, is he drunk or is it real? I think a friend of mine says, well, you know what that means. I said, no. He said, the key to the treasure, like the key to life, the key to this box, the key to this whole thing is this thing. So the key to life is life. So live for today. The key to happiness is happiness. The key to, and I thought, wow, that's it's very simple, yet it's very true. The key to to everything is for us living today. And the key to success and the key to love, finding love is finding love, is that task, is that thing. And that's the key to the whole thing. I think
is being it, embodying it.
Thank you.
Being in the moment.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool advice. And it made you kind of had to think a little bit.
Yeah, seriously. My brain was in pretzels just now. Yeah. Have you ever felt that you've had to, or have you ever had to use substances like weed or whatever to come up with material? Or are you more of like a sober person?
No, completely sober. In fact, it's funny, I'm wearing this shirt. I do not smoke marijuana. I never have. I bought this. It was made well. It's got this brand that I like, and I just like the coloring and the fit. And then I wore it, and every time I wear it, people say, "You don't smoke pot." I said, "I know." And I was going through the airport in Mexico, not knowing I have this shirt on, and I'm cruising through the airport, and this guy just randomly says, "Hey, man, I'm gonna come over in this line." And I go in this line, and they take me in that back room, and they go through all my bags and ask me all these questions, and I'm just standing there, and nothing. Are we going to find anything in your bags? And I'm like, well, I hope so. Hope to find something in my bags. He's like, no, like any kind of drugs. I said, you find drugs in my bag, and you can, whatever. You can have my snowboard. And so they said, we got to start a search all you want. I don't smoke pot. Why are you wearing this shirt? I said, it's funny. I don't know. I said, is this the reason why I got stopped because of the shirt? He goes, well, it didn't help. I said,
you were profiled.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, after I got on Instagram, I said, if you ever fly, don't wear a shirt like pot leaf on it. Yeah. I don't think I've been actually drunk since high school, like literally.
Wow.
And it's not like a yay thing. It's just, I don't drink enough to get drunk. And I have friends that have like Gene Simmons per se. He's never had a drop of booze. That I don't find. I mean, maybe so, but I'm not that pure. I definitely have, at the end of the show, I'd have a little crown on the rocks. Right before the show, we do a ceremonial shot of crown. Then I do the show, then I have a crown, and then I come home and I watch TV with a glass of red wine. So that's about my big overdoing. But yeah, a couple of lines of Coke, and then
kidding.
Yeah. Definitely not the drug guy. I'm actually more of a nerd than anything else.
Yeah, I'm seeing that, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to confront a comic for either stealing a joke or stealing part of your act or anything? Has there ever been anything like that in your career?
No, I've never had I've had a confrontation with one guy that I didn't start. He started it. Sounds like you're in high school. He started it. But there was one with Dennis Miller where he had a thing against me. It was a story that was misconstrued, and he thought this happened, this happened. He was always mad at me, and then when I talked to him in person, he realized, oh, he's wrong. So now we're best friends. Gallagher had a little spat with me one time. I said, meet me for lunch. So I went to meet him for lunch, and when I sat down, he was like, why'd you steal my act? And I said, okay, what act? What are you talking about? We ended up talking it through because I didn't steal his act. He just was, he just had this feeling that what I did was touching his kind of thing was too similar. And then I explained to him, not even close. He was like, yeah, okay, well, never mind. Yeah, he's just mad. And then I had to prove him wrong. I told him, look, I say, here's the number one difference, Gallagher. Okay. He says, what? I said, you hit watermelons, right? I hit cantaloupe. He goes, oh, it is. Okay.
What do you think you came into this life as Scott Thompson, aka Carrot Top, to learn? And what do you think you came here to teach?
Wow. Good questions. Well, I came here to learn everything, kind of like what we talked about, how to learn to get along with other humans and learn how to be a good guy, like not just use the cliche, big deal, he's such a good guy, be a nice guy, but literally have that where you're always about love and listening to other people and hearing their problems and becoming a human being. There's so many people on this planet and trying to be part of it's kind of like when you go to a bar and you go to this bar and every day you go to that bar, the same people are in that bar and everybody gets along because they're all in that bar and they're friends. Well, take that outside of the bar and do that everywhere you go. Like wherever you go, when you walk into a store or go walk into a mall, be just as nice to everyone in that mall that you would be at that little bar that you know every day, that kind of thing.
Interesting.
It's like there's no reason why we can't. I mean, there's no reason why we can't have that. I know it sounds, again, it's all cliche. Like, why can't we all get along? Why, peace and love? Why can't you love your neighbor? Why can't you? Well, you can. It just takes time to do it. You have to, and the same thing too. You got to kind of give and take. If there's everyone has a friend that's kind of offered, you're like, oh, I wish they wouldn't do that. But you kind of work with them with it and maybe soften them up a little bit, and they become a little better person on their end.
And what do you think you came here to teach? Or it could be one and the same, but maybe there's another part
I
to
want to
it.
teach people how to drive a car, how to back a boat. I'm here to teach, well, probably the same. It's probably a little of that, wanting to learn how to become a good person. And you want to teach people how to do as well. Being a performer, it's kind of weird. I almost feel like I wanted to be a teacher when I was in school. I had a chalkboard and I used to pretend I was writing things on the chalkboard and I had a little bell. It's really weird, true. And when I got into comedy, in a sense, you almost are teaching every night. You have a new audience, a new classroom of people, and you're teaching them. There's things that you teach in the show, and there's things that they might take from the show that might teach them something else too. Like even, wow, the show is. You can look in someone on stage too and say, wow, I want to have a beer with that guy. I think he seems like he's not just putting on a show. That's probably him in real life. It's fun. I love even things like teaching my crew. Last night we put this bit together. It was a very complex bit. And I taught them, lighting guy, sound guy, camera guy. We have to all learn this bit for the show. And it's going to take everybody's work to do it. And we nailed it. But I taught them it all. So that was kind of fun. That's just one little aspect of teaching something. But I think on the bigger scale is just teaching people to be good to one another, I always get so sad when, especially in big towns like Vegas, where there's so much crime and there's so much crap on the news and things going around. And I always think, well, how lucky am I in my job? Like, I go to work every night and I tell jokes. Like, I've never once gone to work and had something, God forbid,
Right.
Show business. It's pretty, with the exception of some of the things that have happened in show business, over the years. And we always pray for more than that not to happen.
You get to raise the collective vibration every night, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's actually true. Yeah, because you take that room where they're all in a funk mood and the show's over and the music's playing and they're all walking out. There's a general happy mood that you just sent that whole section of people through the casino.
Right.
That's positive vibes going through. It's like shit, and then it's negative people.
But overall, that's awesome, though.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want to thank you for your time. And honestly, most people don't surprise me. You really surprised me. You are a very interesting and insightful man, apart from being funny. So I want to thank you.
Thank you. That's very nice, Allison.
Of course. And best of luck with the rest of the residency.
Yes, thank you.
And I wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you very much. And have fun there in Delray Beach.
Try.
Yeah. All right.
Can't complain. All right. Nice to meet you.
Have a great day. Yeah, ciao. Beautiful. Thank you.